The list of excellent Switch games is very long, but one thing we can't ignore are the great ports. Let's get into the 10 best. All right, you guys, I've been looking forward to digging into this topic for a while now. There are tons of terrific ports on the Nintendo Switch, and I'm not going to focus so much on the list of excellent Nintendo-developed ports. I'm talking about games like Metroid Prime Remastered, or Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, or The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. The list is very long for Nintendo titles that have come from previous systems, like Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and they've been ported or remade for the Nintendo Switch. That's not really what this is about. This is about third-party companies bringing some of their bigger games to this platform, which right from when it was launched was always sort of talked about as being a bit underpowered compared to the PlayStation and Xbox. But you know what? The Switch has held up with some excellent conversions of some pretty beefy games. Let's get started with my number 10, which is Burnout Paradise Remastered, which came out in 2020. It's based on the 2008 classic Burnout Paradise, developed by Criterion Games, which originally came out for the Xbox 360 and the PS3 and I believe PC back in the day. They remastered this game for other consoles, PlayStation and Xbox platforms, and I was so happy to see that it came to the Switch. It came in at 60 frames per second, whether you played it in handheld mode or on the big screen. And yes, it's missing a little bit of the sparkle that the game has on the PlayStation and Xbox platforms. It still runs beautifully, and it has all the DLC packs, so you can jump into a Back to the Future-like DeLorean, because they're not licensed cars. But there's lots of other vehicles and motorcycles, and you just get into all kinds of crazy chaos, and you're racing and smashing and trying to survive all kinds of carnage, and it's so freaking addictive, bashing through the gates and trying to collect all of the collectibles that are in this open world racing juggernaut. I absolutely love Burnout Paradise Remastered, and it's an amazing pickup for the Nintendo Switch. Number 9 on my list is Diablo 3, The Eternal Collection, and yes, we're up to Diablo 4, and there's all kinds of new seasonal stuff happening in that terrific game, but Diablo 3 is still a ton of fun to go back to. It had a really distinctive, cool art style to it. It's not as bleak and dark as we have seen it with Diablo games in the past or currently with Diablo 4, but it was still a beautiful game with lots of addictive hooks, all of the Diablo loot and dungeon crawling mechanics that we adore. It's got multiplayer support, it's got the DLC included, it's got Ganondorf armor that you can unlock in the game as well because it's on a Nintendo platform, and it's just freaking fun and addictive, and it's one of those games that you can play for hours and hours when you're traveling or just get addicted to it and play it at home on the big screen. Beautiful port, wonderful performance of this game on this platform, and a terrific fit. I mean, we're not going to get Diablo 4 on the original Nintendo Switch. We might get it on the Nintendo Switch 2. In fact, I think we probably will, but Diablo 3 is still definitely worth the pickup and an excellent port on this platform. Number 8 for me is The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. I would prefer to play this game on other platforms if I'm being honest, but they did a terrific job bringing this big, robust, beautiful game to this handheld hybrid machine, and it was part of the marketing of the Switch's launch. It was just a big deal that you could run around and learn the dragon voices and fight all kinds of wizards, and people would chase after if you stole their bread. All of the incredible nuances and intricacies that we have known and loved with Skyrim over its many years and many iterations, many versions of Skyrim that we have played. This isn't the best version to play by any means, but it's very freaking fun, and it plays very well in handheld mode. It's maybe diminished a little bit in terms of its prominence as we've seen all of these portable PCs come to market, like the Steam Deck and the Ally X and the other ones that are happening every month now. But on the Nintendo Switch, this was a big deal, and I'll tell you what, in 2025, it still remains a big deal that Skyrim is on the Switch. Number 7 for me is Persona 5 Royal from Atlus. This is a gorgeous game, and because so much of the beautiful art in this game is the 2D UI elements, I really felt like there was no big hit at all. When I played it originally on the PlayStation 4, and I think a bit on the PS5, and then I played it on Switch, and it just felt totally organic to the machine, and it ran beautifully, and the storylines and the weird kind of creepy details that the game offers powers up the bosses and creatures that you fight and stuff. This is an incredible title, and it's a great freaking fit on this platform because you can carry it around with you like you're reading this beautiful, ornate, insane novel and just keep getting deeper and deeper into the castle, fighting all the bad guys, and getting all of your awesome Persona allies in on the madness. This is a gorgeous role-playing game, and if you're into RPGs, this definitely belongs on your Switch. Number 6 for me is LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. This was a massive experience from TT Games. They really went through the whole suite of Star Wars movies, episodes 1 through 9. They added all kinds of other connections to other Star Wars lore in here as well, and you got to visit all the locations, and the mechanics were amazing. They really beefed up the action-adventure mechanics so the camera would pivot behind the characters and you would get into gunfights. It didn't feel like a dumbed-down, kidified LEGO game. It really felt like the mechanics and the systems in this game kind of matured up with its audience, because we've all been playing these LEGO games and lots of LEGO Star Wars games and lots of good LEGO Star Wars games in the past, but this was phenomenal, and it was an excellent port on the Switch. It took a little bit of a knock in terms of frame rate. It doesn't have the gloss of the resolution and the shine that it has on other platforms, but all the gameplay is there, and it's ridiculously large, and there's so much to explore and examine. And one of the great things, of course, with this is bring it with you and share it with a younger person, or bring it to somebody's house and hand them a controller. This is an amazing game, and if you haven't played LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, because I know the Star Wars brand has been taking some hits over the last little while, you owe it to yourself. You will be infused with positive Star Wars energy playing this phenomenal game. Number 5 on my list is Tetris Effect Connected. This was published by Enhanced Games. Tetsuya Mizuguchi was a big part of bringing this to market, developed by companies called Monstars and Resonair, and this has been on every freaking platform available, including in virtual reality, where it's absolutely mesmerizing. But I'll tell you what, I think my favorite way to play Tetris Effect Connected is on the Nintendo Switch OLED, on a plane, on that OLED screen, getting hypnotized by the music and the challenge and the constant evolution of the experience. And there's all kinds of really cool multiplayer elements in this game as well, but the game celebrates that connectivity. And I remember getting emotionally moved by some of the marketing around this game, because we've all been playing Tetris forever, but this was a full reimagining of the experience, and it was so profoundly beautiful. The music and the visuals all sort of combine and put you into this trance state as you're playing it, and it's just wonderful. This is an incredible game, and the port of Tetris Effect Connected for the Switch couldn't be better. Number 4 on my list is Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age S for the Nintendo Switch. I would imagine that's what the S stands for, and this is the definitive way to play this game as far as I'm concerned. It may look a little bit glossier on other platforms, but it has beautiful charm, Akira Toriyama's beautiful artwork all the way through this exquisite experience. It is just an amazing traditional role-playing game to dive into. You know the deal, you're the chosen one, and you've got oppressive forces that you have to combat, and you've got all kinds of monsters and creatures that are very silly looking and very cute, but they'll kick your butt. But this game isn't about its difficulty, it's about its charm and its rewards, which are plentiful. And one of the amazing things with this game is that Square Enix also offered up a full 2D version. So if you wanted to play Dragon Quest XI like you were playing it in the 80s, you can in this game. This game runs beautifully, it looks incredible, the music is so freaking fantastic, and it's so enveloping. You're going to be blown away by the craft and the quality and the love that's in Dragon Quest XI on the Nintendo Switch. Number 3 on my list is Bayonetta 2, the Platinum Games masterwork. I absolutely adore this game. It's so freaking fun to play. It's gorgeous and it's over-the-top artistry, and it is just one of those perfect kind of marriages between form and function. The controls are perfect. They've added some new modes in there to challenge you for the Switch version of the experience. A lot of it built on the work that Platinum Games put into the Wii U version of the game. And yes, Bayonetta 1 and 2 existed on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and I didn't choose Bayonetta 1 because although it's an excellent game as well, I mean, these are both, I think, 10 out of 10 experiences. They really improved and enhanced a lot of the ideas and the core concepts and the mechanics that they introduced with Bayonetta 1 in Bayonetta 2. Superb character, beautifully realized. I was disappointed with Bayonetta 3 on the Nintendo Switch, but Bayonetta 2 is unbelievable. It's so out of time, you know? Like, it's one of those games that feels like it was chiseled out of rock and it was always there, and it exists in its own sort of weird universe. Just the idea of this super sexy librarian-looking witch that kicks angel and demon asses all over the frickin' place, and there's flowers exploding, and you don't even know what you're looking at half the time, but you know what you're looking at is absolutely gorgeous and so frickin' fun. I mean, that's it. It was thumb candy, and it was visual flourishes and beautiful music and wacky story, and just unforgettable. And the port for the Switch, fantastic. You gotta play Bayonetta 2. It's unfortunate that Bayonetta 3 didn't really pull me in the same way. Maybe it'll run a lot better on the Switch 2. Who knows? But Bayonetta 2, not to be missed. Number 2 on my list, you probably could have predicted this one would be here, is The Witcher 3 from CD Projekt Red. This is impossible. This is one of those games where it's like, what? How did they squeeze this enormous open world role-playing game where you're hunting down monsters and you're doing favors for pernicious people across the countryside? You can't really trust anybody. You're trying to save the loves and the people that you care for. It's incredibly in-depth in terms of its storytelling and its flexibility, and they did a great job putting this all on the Nintendo Switch. Yes, the environments aren't going to look as great as they would on a souped-up PC or one of the more powerful consoles out there, but man, you really don't compromise too much playing the game and getting the experience of this beautiful tale on this really fantastic platform. It's a weird fit, but it really freaking does fit, you know? It's just a surreal thing to be playing this on planes and trains, you know what I'm talking about? But again, diminished a little bit because we've got this proliferate amount of handheld PCs out there that are more powerful than the Switch, and the Switch 2 is imminent, so it'll be interesting to see if The Witcher 3 gets some enhancements. My thought is that it probably will. Same with Skyrim, and same with a few of these other ports as well. But The Witcher 3 for Nintendo Switch, you're going to have an incredible time, and it should be in your collection. And number 1 on my list is a bit of a cheat. It's BioShock The Collection, which includes BioShock 1, BioShock 2, and BioShock Infinite. All 3 games are sensational, and when these games launched in 2020, it just felt amazing to be able to dive back into them and to play them on this small but mighty machine, you know, in handheld mode and on the big screen. I really felt like BioShock 1 and BioShock 2 really didn't take much of a hit on the Nintendo Switch because those came out on the PS3 and Xbox 360, and they ported very well to the platform. BioShock Infinite asks a lot of the Nintendo Switch, and there is a little bit of chug in there, but all of the games offer such incredible stories to dive into. There's just so much thought-provoking, politically charged material to kind of sink into and wrap your mind around, especially in these complicated times that we live in now. And they're just incredible, unforgettable, and endlessly replayable experiences. They're games that every player out there should jump into. They're all about the idea of these beatific environments that turn into hellscapes, and how you have to deal as the protagonist with these over-the-top zealots and their dreams for these utopias that don't pan out. And you've got all of these twisted, maniacal people to contend with, as well as these mutated abominations and crazy weaponry that's kind of from the past and in the future, and all of these hallucinogenic moments that you kind of have to survive, and drugs that you're injecting, and powers that you pick up. So profoundly cool and so intelligently crafted, beautiful storytelling, and these games are amazing to experience again on the Nintendo Switch. And they get us ready for Ken Levine's Judas, which is coming soon, and presumably if the Nintendo Switch 2 has the horsepower for it, that game will be on that machine. And I wonder if these will benefit as well from the horsepower of the Switch 2. Regardless, these are excellent pickups, all 3 of these games, for the Nintendo Switch. I also would put into that same category the Borderlands games, made a great transition to the Switch as well. And there's a whole bunch of other ports out there that I love. The Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 was excellent on the Switch. What I really want to know is the list of ports that you love for the Switch. And yes, you can include some of your favorite Nintendo published games. Certainly Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door deserves to be recognized in this video for sure, but there are tons of excellent games that existed on previous machines that were ported to this platform. But those were my top 10. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for hitting that subscribe button and that little bell to be notified when I drop new videos. We will see you soon, and until then, play forever.